Ten of Swords. Okay. The World. Knight of Pentacles. Hmm. The Knight of Cups and the Nine of Swords. The 9 and the 10 of Swords, so that's a fun party. Just one more and then I'll start clarifying. Separation. Yeah, okay. Yeah. So obviously some sort of separation has definitely put you out of business. There's ruin, 10 of Swords, completely ruined relationship. This guy came in strong and steady, with his heart and his stability, but the stability wasn't really there. It was more of a facade. You see there's a lot of faces here, so you were tricked in some sort of way about this person's personality, what they were about, right? The Knight of Cups and the Knight of Pentacles together with ruin, and Nine of Swords as well. They completely turned your world upside down. I'm getting, when you're on the wheel of life, this person definitely had a downside to your life, your well-being, your livelihood. Not fun, right? But the good news is that you are separated from this now. So a lot of people look at separation as a negative thing, and it is, but when you separate from the wrong person, it's actually a good thing. It's actually a very good thing. So what else with the separation? What's going on? Judgment. It gives you the time to judge what really happened and to talk to God about it. Talk to yourself, talk to your consciousness, talk to someone that you look up to. It could be anything of that sort, but you're getting guidance in some way or another from it. When you separate from people, you have the ability to have space and peace and quietness in order to sort through your own thoughts. Like, I feel like you were very confused at the end of this relationship because they lied, plain and simple. They lied about who they were, and they used that to their advantage, against you. So now that you have the space and the time to look back without being in a state of, hypervigilance around somebody, or just, you're not going through the motions anymore. It's kind of done. It's done. So now you have the time to kind of heal and judge what really truly happened, because sometimes our memory fails us. We tend to hold on to parts of what we remember that are typically more negative, because it's our brain's way of protecting us going forward. Like, oh, I'm not going to make that mistake again. That hurt, that hurt me, blah, blah, blah. Of course, sometimes people will almost have not limerence, but they'll have an obsession about the good parts of someone and completely disregard that they broke your heart, that they cheated on you, that they did all these terrible things. Like, you almost want to romanticize, that's the word, a bad person as well. But now you're going through your own thoughts and you're sorting it out with the truth of what happened. Okay. Um, Two of Cups and the Queen of Cups. Water sign. When you tune into your own intuition, you can't be fooled. You know, we allow people to trick us because we're letting ourselves think that the other person is telling us the truth, even though maybe our intuition was telling us otherwise. But we don't want to listen to that sometimes. Sometimes we just want to force a good thing to happen. And it looked like your intuition about this connection um, was right, but at the same time, you didn't listen to it. You know, you live and you learn for the next time. This is how we all learn how to listen to our intuition, is that we go through mistakes by ignoring it. And then we're like, oh, I did know that. I did pay attention to that. Or I was being alerted to these red flags, but I decided to ignore it instead. You can't ignore away problems. They just increase. They get worse over time. They erode the relationship. Well, that's what happened. But you're generally in this point now, like, there's a lot of females again with their hands up in a prayer, almost with their palms out, like receiving information from above. I'm getting like that you're really sitting with yourself at this time and learning to enjoy your own peace again. If you've ever gotten out of any kind of bad relationship, whether it's romantic or not, it could be family members, even when you're around a certain person anywhere, and they just give you all these negative feelings. You have a pit in your stomach, it's tight, like your throat is constricted, you kind of have like a frog voice because you're holding in so much around somebody, right? That you turn on yourself. Your body turns on itself after a while. Very unhealthy to be around someone toxic, because this is what exactly happens. Um, so now you're learning, after some prayer, after some insight, after some meditation, after some really, going over things truthfully in your head and in your heart, you know how to listen to yourself going forward, which is good. Take a lesson out of something bad that happens to you. That is the smart way of going through life. Like, if you're always just like in this ignorant state of thinking that you know everything already, like, come on, like, who are you trying to fool? You're only fooling yourself. So have a little humility to know that there's always something new to learn. As much as you might know, there's still more to learn. There's always more to learn. That's the beauty of humanity. We're imperfect for a reason, but we heal through each other and we heal through relationships. So if we're in or around someone that is negatively affecting us, it's going to affect us on so many different levels. Now, it's not to say that you have to cut everyone out of your life just because maybe they had a bad day and they rubbed you the wrong way. No, no. You have to have a little bit of wiggle room for people to mess up, because we all will. But this is like patterns. You have to learn how to recognize patterns with humans. Is this a reoccurring habit? Does this person generally do this when they get upset? If you come to them for blah, 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 do they react in this, that, and this way constantly? Take notes. And then after a while, give yourself a limit. It's like, all right, this person did it 3 times. They did the same thing 3 times, even though I talked to them, even though I tried to, be kind and gracious and try to explain to them whatever it is. If they still continue to do it, that is your boundary. And you have to act on your boundaries, because it's like dealing with a child. Okay. You have to teach your child that you mean what you say. And in order to do that, you have to do what you say. You can't ignore, say your child is doing something bad and you ignore it. You're not teaching them right or wrong. You're not teaching them anything. You're just letting them just run around like a bull in a china shop, So eventually you have to put down your foot, and it doesn't have to be in an aggressive, abusive way either. Okay. I'm talking about reasoning with a child and showing them where the boundary lies, so they, one, respect other people's boundaries and listen to people when they are confronted with a boundary, and then two, they learn that they also have boundaries themselves that they can maintain around others, right? And then there's a general respect each way. So in order to do that, you have to actually follow through with what you say. If you're like, okay, little Johnny, like you stole another jelly bean from the candy jar after, I said you shouldn't after 10 or whatever, whatever the boundary is, now I'm going to do what I told you what would happen as a repercussion is that, no candy tomorrow or whatever it is, but you have to go through with it. It's same with dating. If you're dating and the female or the male gives you red flags and it happens, 3 or more times, you have to put your foot down and be like, I'm out. Don't wait around to see if this person changes because you never showed them your boundaries and you also never stood up for yourself. You're a walking doormat at that point. If you just let the whole world do whatever they want to you, and you don't ever put your foot down or stand up for yourself or just no one to say no. No one to say no. And you don't have to be rude saying no. You don't have to be aggressive saying no. It's just a no, right? So that's the kind of like I'm getting that you're developing boundaries and you're sticking to it, but you did that. It still doesn't make it easy by any means, but at least you're progressing forward. So who was this beautiful knight? 10 of this comes out as who I was saying, 10 of Pentacles. He could have been very wealthy. He could have been, very successful, or he could have just dangled a carrot in front of you saying like, here, this is what I want. I want a family. I want a life. I want stability. I want like, real shit. Right. And then it was a facade. Like, you want to know how occupied they are with demonic forces? How much someone lies. We've all lied, but the people that lie with no remorse, the people that do it almost second-handedly, like it's like second nature to them to lie. They have no remorse. It's called being a sociopath, but the people that are sociopathic in their approach and they lie, um, and cheat people and will just lie right to your face, right in your eyes, and not even care. They'll sleep well at night. Those are the people that are the most demonically occupied. So if you want to see if there's, demons attached to someone, just see how much they're willing to lie to you or to anybody for that matter. You were lied to and you paid the price for it, unfortunately. But you distanced yourself, so it's good. But now you have to like find the golden nugget in this dark scenario and find out what you learned and the red flags. When you look back, you'll start to see more and more after a while. If you give yourself time and you meditate, a lot, you'll find the red flags that you missed. And then you have to learn from them and be like, okay, that definitely was a red flag that I missed or that I overlooked. And I cannot ignore that again going forward because I would be a fool to think, to see that red flag and then ignore it. The Six of Swords, lots of swords, lots of mind games, lots of mind games. So this is another unfortunate thing is that unless you have a highly evolved parent that communicates well and also teaches you well, to recognize narcissistic traits per se, or people that are bad for you and learn without making the mistake, you hit the lottery, of knowledge. At least you're getting knowledge from people where you don't have to make the mistakes that other people have made. Other people will actually have to go through the mistakes first to learn the lesson if they don't have or they're someone to help them. with insight, or they're not looking for insight on them, by themselves. They will learn through example and through problems and mistakes. Um, so now you're just kind of like, you packed up and you left. You packed up whatever you had left in you and you left. That's hard also, but what is the lesser evil, or what is the hard, the it's going to be hard either way, whether you leave or whether you stay in a toxic relationship with somebody. So which one do you choose to stay in? You choose to stay in hell with the devil, or do you choose to kind of have a timeshare in hell for a small amount of time while you get your life back together? King of Pentacles pops out. You definitely, I feel like you were married and you separated, you divorced. This is definitely giving me divorce. And the Wheel of Fortune pops out. The World, the Wheel of Fortune. I feel like you had everything that you have ever wanted in whatever period of time this was, and it all went to shit. And that's devastating, to actually achieve what you've been trying to get and actually get it, which is amazing. It shows you that you can actually go after your dreams and get it. But this person was at least contributed to this. This person contributed to your downfall. There's like a lot of crash and burns, that I'm getting here. Judgment twice. You're really in the mind frame of asking God for help, but also helping yourself, you know. And you have to accept the journey that you're on and know that you chose it. Know that you chose it before you came here. So you chose these hard times before you came here. It's part of the story that you accepted as a challenge. So you're just asking God for guidance, I'm getting, but also your intuition is guidance. God speaks to you through your own intuition. Um, and while you're giving yourself time to do that, you're gaining a lot of knowledge and introspection on this past relationship. So when all is said and done, it feels like a crash and burn, but at the same time, the Wheel of Fortune keeps rolling, and then you're going to roll back up again. The world turns. So if we're in a dark night of the soul, period of our lives, and we feel like we'll never ever get out of it, we just feel like this never ending, spiral of problems that will never end, and we just feel stuck in hell. Just know that it doesn't last forever, but you have to try. You can't just sit there and wait for life to get better. You have to be the one in the steering this forward. But you have to realize that just because you feel like it's lasting forever doesn't mean it will. It's all perspective. So you are getting through this and you're getting out of it, and the wheel keeps turning. And you're coming out with much greater insight and better boundaries, and knowing how to listen to yourself when you receive a red flag.